Hi, this is Parker Couch with Homestar Financial, and I'm broadcasting here live from my kitchen. You can probably see some of my daughter's artwork behind me. And the reason I wanted to come at y'all this morning from my kitchen with 3-year-old artwork is for a couple of reasons. One, wanted to give an update on where we are in the housing market, mortgage rates, all that stuff that I'm asked about all the time. But two, I am fired up and incredibly passionate about something that sounds unbelievably boring, and that is refinancing. Okay, so I've called a lot of friends and a lot of family, and I'm asking, hey, what's your rate? And when they tell me that it's 4.125%, I start pushing. I was like, you really need to refinance, and it sounds very sales pitchy, and it sounds like, I'm trying to rip somebody off. And probably a lot of that comes from the baggage of getting all these refi now, streamlined refinance letters and phone calls. And so refinancing kind of gets a bad rap. But here's what I want to do is I want to show you a couple of reasons why refinancing right now in the middle of these historically low rates is one of the smartest things that you can possibly do. And it's actually something that I've done myself. That's how much I believe in it. But first, this is from Fortune Magazine, August 23rd. A couple of things that I wanted to show. One is we are finally starting to see homes get on the market. Let's talk about what happened. Most of y'all know this, some of you don't, is we had something called COVID-19. Don't know if you've ever heard of it. And what COVID did is it made our economy go into an immediate recession. In order to keep the economy and the country afloat and surviving, the Fed decided to slash rates. This made interest rates go down to historically low levels. Okay, so if you were to buy a house, let's say as recently as 2018, you're probably paying 4.25% for your interest rate. And if you were to try to buy a house in 2020, you're probably paying like 2.825% for your interest rate. These are just hypothetical, speculative numbers. But the point is that the Fed had interest rates go down so low because they were trying to stimulate the economy, keep it going while we were in the middle of COVID. What did that do? Well, that made demand go way up. And the reason demand went way up is because interest rates were low. People were like, I can borrow money at a historically low rate. Let me go buy a home. Let me refinance. Well, then something else crazy happened. That's, again, COVID related, which is COVID just killed supply chain internationally. And that meant that you couldn't get lumber, you couldn't get steel, you couldn't get microchips. That's the reason you're seeing used cars appreciate in value like 20+%. That's the reason why you're seeing house prices go up so high over the last year and a half, 2 years. And that's because there's not enough inventory to meet the demand. That's also why we're not in a bubble. Really, for there to be a bubble, you need to have a glut or a surplus of inventory, and we don't have that. We have the opposite problem. Here's the good news, though, is we're finally starting to see more homes come on the market. All right. What does that mean? That means that home buyers are starting to push back on these record prices. They're saying, I'm not going to pay a house that's appreciated in value 20+% in just 1 year. Here's the other thing. Forecasts don't predict home prices falling. This is what I was talking about with the whole bubble piece. We're not in a bubble, okay? And the reason we're not in a bubble is because you don't have enough supply to meet the demand. Bubbles happen when you have artificially increased demand, and that starts to generate way too much supply. This is the thing that I wanted to show. Mortgage rates are remaining historically low. You can see in 2000, the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate was 8%. In 2020, where we are right now, 2.87%. Here's the thing, though. This is big. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they're the authority when it comes to this stuff. They're projecting that we're going to see rates climb by the end of 2022 to 3.7%. That's going to be a 1% increase. So if you have a 4.125% rate and a year from now you're trying to refinance, your rate can go down a little bit, but you're not going to slash a point and a half. What does this all mean? Here's where I hope you stick with me, because this is incredible. All right, these are all fake numbers, but they're also very, very real. Okay, so let's pretend like I've got a property in Memphis, 38117, lived in Memphis for 10 years, know it very well. And let's say I have an FHA fixed 30-year loan. This is my loan amount. Let's talk about FHA for a second. In FHA, you will forever and always have something called PMI, private mortgage insurance. It could be anywhere between 100 to 200, 300. It really depends on the size of the loan, but you're paying probably at least $120 a month in private mortgage insurance for FHA. Why in the world would you do FHA? FHA is an awesome product because you only have to put 3.5% down when you're buying a home. But you can see that this already is a potential to save a lot of money. I then did the following. I plugged in like, all right, let's say if we were to go from a 30-year FHA to a 30-year conventional, which means we get rid of that private mortgage insurance. Also, remember, equity has gone up like crazy. Prices have gone up, which means that you really no longer need to pay mortgage insurance because you're probably at an 80% loan to value, or the value of your home compared to how much you owe is going to be 20% or greater. Or another way of putting it is you have more than 20% of equity in the home that you own. Here's the thing, just know you no longer have to pay private mortgage insurance in this scenario. So I've got a 30-year and I've got a 25-year. Here's what happens when I calculate it, all right? Let's talk about, remember this number, 368, and then remember the break even based on cost, 9 payments. Right now, if you are paying this, all right, you've paid on this for almost 4 years. So you've paid on this loan for 4 years. You owe probably about this much, okay? You're paying probably around $1,800 a month. If you were to refinance from a 4.125 to a 3.127, and you get rid of your mortgage insurance, your monthly payment is going down by more than $300. Not only that, if you were to go to a 25-year, so let's say that we want to shave off a year and 1 month from our current note, your monthly payment is still going down $200+. What does this mean? This is our current reality right here. See how much that's going down? Or even a 25-year, right? You're paying way more towards principal and your monthly payment is still going down. Just 1% interest decrease is huge. The other thing that's really huge is, forgive my dog in the background. The other thing that's really huge too is you can go to a 25 or 20-year loan and pay less or about the same that you were for a 30-year. Let's talk about savings though, is if you get rid of that mortgage insurance, and this is just savings through 5 years, look at this. You're saving $23,000 over a 5-year period, both in interest and mortgage insurance. 30, it's all around $23,000. You obviously bump this up to 10 years and your savings becomes even more, but I like to do 5 because most people they plan about 5 years ahead. Down here is something called the break-even cost. What do I mean by break-even cost? Let's go back up. All right. And by the way, these reports, the links and the reports are in the post so that you can follow along. 3,000. What do you mean closing costs? Well, when you refinance, what's happening is you're paying off your current mortgage, okay? And then you're going into a new mortgage or a new loan that's at a much lower rate. That costs money. Why does it cost money? Because you need lawyers to close your loan. Homestar, the company that I work for, we charge a flat origination fee. But you're like, all right, so that's already right there. I don't want to pay that $3,000. For a couple things you need to know. One, you're not bringing any money to the closing table. That closing cost is just going to be financed into your total loan amount. That's the reason you see loan amount in your current is $236, in these new it's $239. So even though your loan amount's going up $3,000, okay, even though it's going up $3,000, your savings are incredible. Like, look at that. That's how much you're saving in just 5 years. And that doesn't even count for the amount of extra cash flow you have. $368 extra a month is a lot of money. I would love to have $368 extra dollars a month. I want to show you something else pretty cool too, but this is a break-even cost. What does that mean? It means like how many payments would you need to make with your new loan before your monthly savings in this new loan paid for the cost of financing, or that $3,000. Well, if you're saving $368 a month, not including the interest, 9 payments. After 9 payments under this new loan, your monthly savings will have completely paid for the cost of closing, which again is roughly around $3,000. Depends on your loan. These are just placeholder numbers. So this is really neat. The other thing to look at too is you can say called principal paid. So 5 years from today, if you kept going on your path in this scenario, you'll have paid $26,000 towards your principal. Okay. Here, $26,000 towards your principal, even though you're starting the loan over. The 25, you paid $34,000 towards your principal. That's for FHA. If you have an FHA loan, you really, really need to refinance. Plain and simple. Let's go to another scenario. This same thing, 387, but let's say that you didn't have an FHA. Let's say you did a 5% down conventional loan. You still are almost certainly paying mortgage insurance, but it'll automatically drop off once you have 20% of equity in your home. And this is like, for example, what I had when I bought a house in Memphis in 2018, and I had like a 4.25% interest rate. It was a conventional loan. So I still had some mortgage insurance, but it was a conventional. Look what happens though. If I go from a conventional to a conventional and I'm just dropping the rate, I'm still saving $261 a month. Look at that. I mean, just lowering your interest rate 1%, massive savings. Not only is it massive savings, look, you're saving $15,000 over 5 years. Your break-even cost, you're breaking even in just 12 payments. If you're going to be in your house for at least 12 months, and this was you in this scenario, you need to refi because it'll pay for itself. The other thing to look at too is right here, the principal paid. It's about the same. And you're freeing up monthly cash. You're paying way less money in interest. So if I were to go up here and let's say you're going to be in your house for 10 years, I mean, the savings are massive. That's going from conventional to conventional. So if you have a conventional loan, and you are like, I already got a conventional. I don't have an FHA. I don't need to refinance. Well, if you bought between like 2014 and 2019 or 2012 to 2019, you probably have a 4+ interest rate, maybe even a 5+ interest rate. And you can you can slash a point and a half, 2 points off of that if that's you. Okay, but let's say that let's talk about extra cash flow. Going back to this scenario right here, this is the FHA scenario, I've freed up $368 a month. Remember, I'm already used to paying this. So what if I just keep paying what I'm used to paying? Say it's comfortable. What impact does that have long term? So glad you asked. So this is current reality. FHA 4.125, loan amount, awesome, great. This is that reality I was showing you over here. But we have an amortization chart. If you don't know what that is, you're about to find out. I've increased my loan amount. I've started over that loan. I'm now at a 1% lower interest rate, and I'm taking my $368 that I'm saving, and I'm making an additional principal payment each month. What impact does that have? Get this. You're paying off your house in 19 years. Not only that, you're saving $97,000 in interest. Not only that, you're increasing your net worth by $120,000. If you stay at your current path, FHA loan 4.125, when it's all said and done, you've paid off your house, you will have paid $412,000. $176,000 of those dollars will have gone towards interest. But if you refinance, look at this. I mean, you are saving literally over $100,000 just by spending 10 to 15 minutes. You can also look at this, the monthly kind of breakdown. So right now, your current reality, you've probably made about 39 payments. So this is your balance. Okay. With the second loan, you're starting up here at the top. So you're like, wait, so I'm starting over with a higher balance. Oh no. Well, look how quickly we catch up. So we're trying to catch up to that $222,000 number. We're caught up after only 22 payments. Not only that, look, 229 payments, you're done. Done. By adding that extra $338 a month, which again, that's money that you freed up by refining. You're just making the same payment that you usually pay every single month, only it's now a refinance loan with a lower rate and you no longer have mortgage insurance. I mean, the difference is 10 minutes of your time to fill out an application. That's the difference between paying off your house and 229 payments or still having $120,000 left to go. Because this is your current reality. That's years. That's 11 years of extra payments. So here's the question. Is it worth taking 10 minutes to refinance, taking advantage of these historically low rates? And then you'll probably find yourself in a position where you're just going to end up paying what you're paying now. because you're freeing up cash flow. Take that freed up cash flow, put it towards your principal, and be done with your loan, paid off. Now, this is bananas. This is actually like a real case scenario. This is a loan that I did. Okay. They had a loan amount of $142,000. Once they did something called a cash out refi, that's where you're refinancing your interest rate, you're refinancing the term sometimes, but you're cashing out some of your equity. Okay. Is this person's loan amount went from $142,000 to $191,000. Why did it go up so much, you ask? Because they cashed out some of their equity. What did they do with that cash? Great question. Well, first what they did is they went from a 30-year loan to a 25-year loan. Their interest rate went down by about half of a point, but they were used to paying $2,117 a month because these two numbers right here, that was their mortgage payment, and then they were paying $906 a month towards their debt. Okay? With their new loan, we have used that equity to pay off all of their debt. We've rolled it into their new total loan amount, and this is their new monthly payment. How much cash does that free up? $775 a month. And look, they didn't have a ton of debt. They financed an AC unit that went out, and then they had 2 cars. I mean, that's smart debt, but paid it off. Now watch what happens. We take that $775 on this new, they're paying off their house in 11 years. Again, this is them just paying what they're used to paying. This isn't them like, oh, we got to find an extra. No, this is them literally just taking their savings, paying this number, which they're already used to paying. And if they do that, look at this. They're gaining $148,000 in amortization. That is wild. This is someone who is literally just by taking 10 to 15 minutes to fill out an application, because they were able to go to a lower rate. They were able to go from a 30-year to a 25-year. They're able to take their increased cash by consolidating their debt. They cashed out their equity, paid off that debt. They then just snowballed it, kept making payments that they're used to, and now they just shaved off 15 years and 3 months from their loan. This is not a hypothetical. This is like a real live scenario. If you can tell, I feel pretty passionately about it. And again, my dog's whining at the door because he's that fired up about refinances. Excuse me 1 second. Chipper Jones, hush. Chipper, hush. Sorry about that. So, all that being said, if you haven't, if you bought a house, if you own a home, here are a couple of things I can almost guarantee you. Your equity has gone up a ton the last 2 years. 2, if you bought before 2019, you almost certainly have too high of an interest rate, and you can almost certainly get a significantly lower interest rate. Okay, this was a lot. All of these reports are in the link to the post. Appreciate everyone for watching. Have a great day.